by heart. This is Keep a Poem in Your Pocket by Beatrice Schenck de Rainier. Keep a poem in your pocket and a picture in your head, and you'll never be lonely at night when you're in bed. The little poem will sing to you, the little picture bring to you a dozen dreams to dance to you at night when you're in bed. So keep a picture in your pocket and a poem in your head, and you'll never be lonely at night when you're in bed.
Thank you, Kathleen. So it's hard to pass the offering basket online, but the financial needs of our beloved community go on. Many of you contribute automatically through electronic debit. Thank you for doing that. If you would like to make a contribution to KUUF or to the wider community, or to the minister's discretionary fund, or to our monthly recipient of charitable giving, please go to our website at kuuf.org and click on the donate button. This month's recipient of our charitable giving is Results, an organization of volunteer citizens who advocate politically for ending poverty in the US and around the globe. While you contemplate doing that, we will hear a gift of music provided by Brian Kenny and matched with beautiful visuals by our choir director, Mike Menifee. these pictures in for a second. Lovely. Thank you, Brian. Can you hear me now? Can someone put their thumb up? Okay, good. The next poem was published by Copper Canyon Press. It's one of Paul's favorites, and he'll read it now.
This poem is called Scrambled Eggs and Whiskey, and it's by Hayden Carruth. There can be this moment, I think, when musicians play well together at the end of a composition, that just imagine that very last note lingering, and then when the sound stops, that note continues to linger. It's probably in perfect pitch. People have played very well together, and at that moment, for me, this is what this poem is about. Scrambled eggs and whiskey in the false dawn light. Chicago, a sweet town, bleak, God knows, but sweet sometimes. And weren't we fine tonight when Hank set up that limping treble roll behind me? My horn just growled, and I thought my heart would burst. And Brad M. pressing with the soft stick, and Joanne singing low. Here we are now in the White Tower, leaning on one another, too tired to go home. But don't say a word. Don't tell a soul. They wouldn't understand. They couldn't. Never in a million years. How fine, how magnificent we were in that old club tonight.
Thank you, Paul. Our next poem was suggested and will be read by Kathleen Stewart. Kathleen?
Hello again. This poem was written just 2 weeks ago by an Irish Franciscan friar. You may have heard it already read by Anderson Cooper on CNN. I loved it so much I asked if I could read it today. It's Lockdown by Friar Richard Hendricks. Yes, there is fear. Yes, there is isolation. Yes, there is panic buying. Yes, there is sickness. Yes, there is even death. But they say that in Wuhan, after so many years of noise, you can hear the birds again. They say that after just a few weeks of quiet, the sky is no longer thick with fumes, but blue and gray and clear. They say that in the streets of Assisi, people are singing to each other across the empty squares, keeping their windows open so that those who are alone may hear the sounds of a family around them. They say that a hotel in the west of Ireland is offering free meals and delivery to the housebound. Today, a young woman I know is busy spreading flyers with her number through the neighborhood so that the elders may have someone to call on. Today, churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples are preparing to welcome and shelter the homeless, the sick, the weary. All over the world, people are slowing down and reflecting. All over the world, people are looking at their neighbors in a new way. All over the world, people are waking up to a new reality, to how big we really are, to how little control we really have, to what really matters, to love. So we may pray and remember, yes, there is fear, but there does not have to be hate. Yes, there is isolation, but there does not have to be loneliness. Yes, there is panic buying, but there does not have to be meanness. Yes, there is sickness, but there does not have to be disease of the soul. Yes, there is even death, but there can always be a rebirth of love. Wake to the choices you make as to how to live now, today. Breathe, listen. Behind the factory noises of your panic, the birds are singing again. The sky is clearing. Spring is coming, and we're always encompassed by love. Open the windows of your soul, and though you may not be able to touch across the empty square, sing.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. That's beautiful. Now we will have the readings of joys and sorrows. If you would like to share a joy or sorrow, please type it in the chat box. There is an icon at the bottom of your screen that will open the chat box so you can type it there. I will read them as well as I can as they come through. And Rosemary is going to be trying to make sure that we capture all of them, even if I can't read them all, so that you all can see them and the caring committee can follow up. Afterwards, we'll hear Brian playing Spirit of Life, and I invite you to sing along. Brian Watson is grateful for the beautiful day. He's on a bike ride as we've gathered. Joe Walter is concerned for my mom in the ICU at Harrison after a surgery to repair an intestinal blockage. She will be there for at least a week. Wow, Joe, our heart goes out to you. Matthias and Bunny say that there's a sorrow that one of her closest friends is showing symptoms of coronavirus. It's scary. Bonner says, I am so grateful for continued Wi-Fi coverage making this service possible. Me too. Annie Pendergast says, joy for a strong daughter, sorrow for a husband deploying early. Our hearts are with you, Annie. I think that's it. Our lives are filled with joys and sorrows. We each hope for more joy than sorrow in our lives and hope to accept whatever life brings us with grace and love. We all feel delight when someone shares their joy. We offer love and support when someone shares their sorrow. All our joys and sorrows are sacred and a part of the interconnected web of our lives. And we have several more here. Mac and Lisa feel the joy of all our communities, including KUF, that are staying in contact with each other. And Marcia says, joy for my twins' 24th birthday. One twin with us at home from New York, and the other is in Brooklyn, hunkered down. Frank Mead says, joy to the helpers in this time of crisis. Lisa says, we share Joe Walter's concern for her mom and want her to know she is not alone. Kay is concerned about the difficulty of dealing with gender dysphoria. Our hearts are with you, Kay. We commit ourselves to a vision of an earth made whole with peace and health for all her people. Please sing Spirit of Life together. Next is a special poem written by our own Joey Witherspoon, suggested and read by Terry Looney. Terry?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I first became fascinated with clouds while leisurely watching their shifting shapes on a childhood family backpack trip. When I purchased Joey Witherspoon's subject of choice poem at KUUF's 2018 auction, I asked him to write about clouds, and I'm so happy to be able to share it with you all today. Clouds by Joseph Witherspoon. Dark, foreboding clouds, simply lakes in the sky waiting to have a good cry. Deep gray like a sheet over the sky, obscuring blue and stars alike. They release their burden, lighter, lighter, they break apart, cracks of blue peeking through, drifting apart and fading until all that's left are wisps and fluff.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you, Joey. Now, Mary Oliver is with us again, this time read by Lena Hayjack. Lena.
Lena, you're unmuted. You're good to go.
This poem was chosen by Kathy McAravey, and she gives her reasons for this. I picked the poem because it really shows how whatever we suffer, the world goes on. Nature is eternal, and we are all a part of it. As a former Catholic, I also love the idea that we are just perfect as we are and not burdened with original sin. Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let your soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I'll tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
Thank you, Lena. Hoping that a moment for silent reflection will be helpful, we'll all take a moment of stillness together to listen to our hearts and to the life around us. Brian will play again after. Jerry Butler suggested the next poem. Jerry?
Yes, the poem is The Guest House by the 13th century Sufi mystic Rumi. To me, this poem speaks to me really deeply. Being a mental health counselor, I've learned both in my personal life and those I am with as friends and patients and so forth, that the road to healing and compassion is to accepting our whole self, both the difficult feelings, the so-called dark feelings, as well as the joy that is all part of who we are. And that if we suppress any part of ourselves, it's not going to go away. It just comes to us in some other form. So totally accepting ourselves, all of ourselves. So I'll read the poem. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be cleaning you out for some new delight, the dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Thank you, Jerry. Finally, our last poem was offered and is read by Susan Welsh. Susan.
I tend toward the obsessive, ruminating side of things. And this reading came to me as a voice from the universe at a particularly down time in my life, and I've carried it with me for probably 35 years. I've read it to myself hundreds of times over the years. It's a little disconcerting to me to hear these words going out. It's always been someone else's voice coming into my heart. Be Patient by Rainer Maria Rilke. Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart. Try to love the questions themselves. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given you. You would not be able to live them, and the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Then someday, gradually, without noticing it, you will live along into the answers.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan. Poetry helps us find the meaning and the beauty in daily life, reminding us of the profound sacredness of each moment. It can make us laugh and cry, ponder, wonder, and be glad to be alive. As our lives may be in need of those blessed moments in the coming days and weeks, may we all remember that poetry helps us live through these times in grace. Kathleen Stewart created a list of poetry resources for us, which is posted on the KUF website. And it looks like, nope, I can't find it. It includes links to 6 different websites that provide poetry for reading aloud, a poem a day, and 2 links for children and family poems. Please find the list and use it in the coming days and weeks. If you don't find it on the website, you can also find it on our KUF Friends and KUF Friends website, Facebook site. Now we will sing our closing hymn, Gather the Spirit.
Our sacrifice.
Wasn't that wonderful? I wanted to sing along too, but I couldn't do it. So I'm so grateful to Mike and Elena and Brian for creating that particular song, and I hope that we sing it almost every Sunday when we gather online. So we're at the end when we are going to extinguish our chalice, and these are the chalice extinguishing words written by Betsy Darr. May the light of this chalice give light and warmth to our community when we are joyful and when we despair. And may we feel the warmth spread from our circle to wider and wider circles until all know they belong to the one circle of life. Blessed be, go in peace. And don't go. You can stay for the coffee hour, which will be starting in about 3 minutes. And between now and when the coffee hour starts, I'm going to replay the arabesque music that we heard earlier, only this time I'm going to check the right box so it sounds better for you. So that will play, and when that's over, Paul will start the coffee hour. And at some point, Bonner will unmute everybody, but not yet.
I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody so that I can refill my coffee. But please, if you're, once everyone is unmuted, if you could unmute yourself if you're not speaking to keep all the ambient noise down.
Hello. Thanks, Paul and Beth.
The leftovers.